Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz, and today is Thursday, May 28th, but tomorrow, which is when this video is going to be released, is Friday, May 29th. I'm offline today for the holiday of Shavuot, a Jewish holiday, but I'm scheduling this video to be published and recorded the day earlier, and it will be published tomorrow. So let's get to it. So first up, Google announced a big change to search coming in 2021. So we got several months to worry about it per se. But basically I'm calling it the Google Page Experience Update. It's basically where Google's taking into account how users or the perception of users and how they would actually perceive the page experience, how they experience your web pages. There's a lot of factors that go into this. Some of the factors, or most of the factors, are actually already out there. Such as PageSpeed, HTTPS, and so forth. But Google's incorporating into this their core web initiatives, which they released earlier this month on Chrome, and I'll get into a little bit more. But page experience is basically how users are experiencing your web page, and Google applies metrics to this, and they're constantly going to adapt it going forward. Some of the metrics include speed metrics, but those are now been replaced by core web vitals around largest content paint, how long that takes, as well as first input delay and how long that takes. So the largest content page should be within 2.5 seconds. The first input delay should be less than 100 milliseconds. And then Google incorporated this new core web metric, this new vital metric called cumulative layout shift. And that's basically how a page kind of shifts as it loads. And you've seen this before where you see pages themselves actually jump around, or elements in the page jump around as the page is loading, and it kind of like you're about to click on something, and as you click on that thing, it goes ahead and like you kind of miss it because the page is loading, and that's something that Google says it shouldn't do that, and if it does that, it's not a good thing. Also incorporating these page experience are things like mobile friendly, which we had for years, safe browsing we had for years, HTTPS, which we had for years, and intrusive interstitials, not having them, we had for years as well. Just heads up, this is not going live again until 2021. You have plenty of time to prepare. Google's going to give us a heads up 6 months before it goes live, saying, hey, you have 6 months to prepare for this. They're kind of waiting on this right now because of COVID and seeing where people are, because there are a lot of changes that webmasters and SEOs and publishers need to make their sites comply with all these types of things. Will this be a big update? Not exactly sure. I don't think it's going to be like Panda, where it affected almost 12% of queries. It's probably going to be more like an HTTPS update, which is already out there, again, incorporated in this. So I think it's going to be fairly small, but Google doesn't know yet. And Google said content that is great is still going to rank really, really well, even if you have a poor page experience. Of course, if two things are equal, both content is great, and one has a better page experience than the other, then it would actually impact things. This also impacts top stories. No longer will you need to have AMP equivalent pages for your site to show up in Google's mobile search. You don't need AMP pages for that. This will use in the future when this goes live your page experience scores. Just out of the box, so you know AMP pages are generally have a very good page experience, so you can definitely still use AMP, and Google will use the page experience score from the mobile version when ranking these types of pages. So just keep that in mind. Again, AMP is no longer required for top stories when this goes live in 2021, and all this page experience stuff is going to be a new ranking factor going forward in 2021 at some point. Moving on, Google's core update in May 20 core update seems to be getting a lot of negative feedback across the SEO community, the webmaster community, and so forth. I did a post, are the Google results messed up after this? And then I made a poll. And the poll has a lot of results. It has about 1,300 or so results as of today, yesterday, wherever you're watching this. And those basically say, I think 62% said that the results are, the search quality post Google May 20 core update is negative. There's a negative change in the core Google results. And then if you look at the overall results in terms of the poll, which you'll see, I'll include a screenshot, about like 80% said they're as good or worse than they were prior to the May update. So definitely take a look at that. That's interesting to hear. Google has updated the Google Search Console with speed reports to use the Core Web Vitals. Again, Core Web Vitals is a new metric they've been using since early this month in Chrome, and they include largest content paint, first input delay, and the cumulative layout shift. And I go into more detail on that report on May 27th at the Search Engine Roundtable. Also, Google updated the PageSpeed Insight report to include these Web Vitals, If they are using the Web Vitals, they'll have a little blue flag or check mark, not a check mark, more of a badge next to those core metrics to say that these are the core Web Vital metrics. So definitely take a look at that. Not all of them in the Page Insights board are pulling from that core Web Vitals report. Google said that there may be indexing issues. So you may have seen indexing issues related to the core Google update in May 2020. So if you saw Google's indexing your pages less, or removing pages from the index, it might be related to Google doesn't think your site is quality enough for these core updates. It's not exactly always the case like that. There are sites that do see hits when it comes to core updates, but do not see indexing downgrades. So just keep that in mind. Gary from Google said, don't be surprised yet if we do go ahead and monitor link selling forums or private Facebook pages around selling links. That's something that we do, and we do look into that. Google also said, seemed to have another indexing issue. I think this was on Wednesday night, where fresh content wasn't being indexed or displayed in Google search for a couple hours. Google did not confirm it, but it seems like Google's having more and more of these indexing issues around fresh content. Google seems to be testing new how-to schema in the desktop results. It's more of I'll show you the snippet here. You can see it's kind of more linear, not as rich as the mobile version of these how-to rich results. So definitely take a look at that. A Google rep basically said that the swipe up on Google image search on mobile for AMP pages actually increases your click-through rate and also increases your traffic to your website because the click-through rate is higher. So he's saying this actual feature is an improvement in terms of how Google actually sends you traffic, which is pretty interesting. Google now, if you do a search for rehab, drug rehab, or addiction help related queries, shows you a big box at the top with a phone number to the national helpline for these issues. So anybody who is in the drug rehab or addiction type of business, their listings and their ads and their organic listings will be moved down substantially because of this, although I don't think it's horrible that Google is showing this number at all. It's a very spammy industry in general. Google is testing larger font size for grouped snippets. So if you are in a group snippet on mobile or desktop, Google's testing showing a larger font size for the first element, the first snippet in the group of snippets. So you have multiple listings and they're grouped together in one snippet. Then Google will show the first snippet would actually be a larger font size, which is pretty cool. I think I like it a lot. Google's testing. People also ask for ads carousel. We saw this in numerous formats for people also whatever, but now in people also search for, they're actually showing ads in a carousel, which I'll show you a screenshot for as well. Google Ads launched a new report for retail category reporting. It basically lets you understand how your performance is predefined by product categories across both search and across shopping search or shopping campaigns. So you can actually see one report, Google Search and Google Shopping in one report, which is pretty useful. And finally, Gary from Google asked how multiple Twitter polls asking how has COVID-19 affected or changed your SEO work, and the results are pretty interesting. One question was, with this COVID stuff going on, my SEO workload is increased, decreased, or the same, and the results are all over the place. And I'll try to embed all the answers very quickly so you can just see them below. With this COVID stuff, I'm pitching SEO work less, more, about the same. Convincing decision makers about my SEO project ideas is easier, the same, or harder. Or working with developers on SEO projects is easier, the same, or harder. So that's pretty interesting questions. In any event, sorry for the short, quick video. Again, I'm doing this a day early, so a little bit out of format. Hope you guys who are ever celebrating had a nice Shavuot, and hope every Shavuos, and everybody who is not, have a great weekend. Stay healthy, stay safe. And that pretty much recaps the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz, and that's the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable. Today again is Thursday, May 28th, published on Friday, May 29th. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next. Goodbye.